I mean, there was
Thank you for the introduction.
let's be real.
Anyway, so my project is called cDashboard. There's my beautiful logo that I made in Photoshop, my lack of skill and lack of understanding of how fonts are supposed to work. Anyway, so let me explain what cDashboard is. So this is a sample of what my room used to look like before I started working on this software. I had sticky notes everywhere, all along the wall, every place I went. And I'd always lose them too, so I'd always want to, write something down, but then I'd lose it. I wouldn't have anywhere to go. So then I thought, okay, there has to be a way to do this. I'm a comp sci major. There's technology. We have technology. So then I wound up with something along these lines. I wound up with thousands of sticky notes that I blanked out the text on. And then the important one that I actually want is always behind the rest of them. And that always seemed to happen to me. And I hated the feeling of I'd minimize what I was doing and then, like making my PowerPoint slide, I'd minimize it and then look for that one thing on the desktop, and I just couldn't find it because I had a ridiculous amount of notes. I had a ridiculous amount of everything. So anyway, so that's my beautiful Windows desktop. But now I don't really ever have stickies on it anymore. I've come up with a solution. It's called cDashboard. So let me give some inspiration. In a nutshell, it's a replacement way of doing sticky notes. It's a whole separate interface for Windows where you can save notes and various other things. You can also have pictures. I really like it. It's really cool. So anyway, so my C inspiration, because I would put C's in front of words that don't need it. First thing that comes first, that doesn't make the most sense in the world. I always liked when people called the Xbox 360 home screen the dashboard. So that's where the word dashboard actually comes from. And it's really stupid and it doesn't make any sense, but I don't care. It's okay. Also, the Mac also has something, I believe it's also called dashboard, something kind of similar where you can have like widgets on a separate interface altogether. And then in addition to that, the Steam overlay, I'm sure, this is RCOS, I'm sure a lot of you have played games. You're playing your game, you're into it, you do your little keyboard shortcut and boom, there's my web browser, there's the time. You can even now see how long you've been playing your game. Oh, I've been playing 12 hours straight. Uh-oh, I got to do some homework eventually. So anyway, so I guess the most, in a non-mathematical sense, dashboard plus Steam plus some other things, I guess you get cDashboard. So, and that's not really guaranteed to be mathematically accurate, but it kind of makes sense. At least when I was making these slides, it made complete sense. So anyway, so let's see what's so great about cDashboard. Do you get it? So first thing first, and whenever a software developer says this, it always kind of like bites them. So I'll say it anyway. You'll all kind of know why. But so first thing first, it's stable. It doesn't crash. In my experience, I don't know what you guys might do. I have no idea. So it's stable. It also is graceful. It automatically saves whenever you change something to make sure that if it, God forbid, crashes or you lose power or something goes wrong, it won't get messed up. It can't. It's not able to. Quote, unquote. So another thing, it also supports rich text formatting. So you can do underlining, bolding, italicizing, and it can save it like that. So if you take a rich text document and you can even import it in, and that can be your note sheet that you're working on. Besides that, I already said auto-saving. It also has customization. I like different colors. I like knowing that the red thing is the important thing that I need to look at right now. I like to know that the blue thing is the thing I can ignore until the red thing's done. So I like changing colors around. I also like changing backgrounds. So that's something really important that I thought should be a big factor. It's also only there when you want it to be. I said it's a completely separate interface. And I'll show an example after the slides. So the boring part's almost over, in case you're wondering. But so it's only there when you want it to be. It's a completely separate interface. When you're doing your things with your Windows applications, you won't even see it. You won't even know it's there. It's completely different, completely separate. It uses minimal amounts of memory. No effect on your computer negatively. With that, non-resource intensive. It also doesn't require any external libraries. You don't need to go download something. You don't need to drag this weird DLL file into your Windows directory. You don't need to open up your command prompt and do DEL system32. Nothing like that. It just works, and that's something really important. So with that, there's no installer. You just drag it into your startup folder. Easy as that. It's fully compatible with all recent versions of Windows up until XP. What else can I say? The world seems to use Windows. It's also open source, so if you don't like something, you're welcome to go in the code, play with it, make it the way you do like it. open source. So I'm going to now talk about the way that the settings work, just to show a little bit of what I've kind of played with to make it do things. So this is an example settings file. It's actually my settings file. The way it works is you have a property, semicolon, property, semicolon, value. Eventually I'll probably convert this into a JSON file, but I've written almost a library in and of itself to try to like parse this in some type of decent order notation, because after taking data structures and algorithms, everything's order notation. I just keep thinking about it. Even if it doesn't really matter, I'm thinking about it. So this is the way it works. Everything gets saved in that sense. So besides just doing new things, there's definitely a little bit of things that I wanted to do. One of them is just to look at this code. It violates many rules of what we've been taught to code. I wrote this before this year, before I started working on the project in RCOS. So just to put it into terms, there's a for each loop, within a for each loop, within a while loop, within another while loop, with a goto to take you all the way back up to the top of that. So no matter how you look at it, it's not very good. And the amazing thing is I've been able to rewrite this crazy code block into like 3 lines now, because I'm learning so much from working on this. I think that's very valuable, and that's something that people look at in RCOS. You really get time to work on these things and perfect yourself. So anyway, so now let's do a C demonstration. So I'm going to actually show you what the application is. So anyway, so I'm just going to run the project, the program. Normally I just have it in my startup folder. I've kind of like killed it and hidden all the settings so it'll hopefully act as if nothing's happened before. So let's just run it. Okay, it's running. Normally, if there were 2 monitors, which it doesn't see right now because it's duplicating, you would get a message that says, "Hey, we see that there are 2 monitors. We see that there are X number of monitors. Which monitor do you want to be your default?" And then you would set that, and then after you set that, there are a couple ways to bring up the dash. One of them is to double-click in the bottom right corner. We have this little status thing. Double-click that. There's dash. It fades in. You click anywhere on the dash, it fades out. Another cool way is for the people. How many people here have Google Glass?
Resounding none.
Okay. All right, fine. I'll take my business elsewhere. So for people with Google Glass, if you just like look up, dash comes up. Look down. Let me disable that feature just for now. Anyway, okay. So also you could also use a keyboard shortcut, which is currently set up as Control tilde. So anyway, so here's the dash. You can see in the bottom right corner, it wasn't cut off. You have the full time, the full date, and we just have this blank screen right now. We don't have anything else going on. Well, I said I like customization, so let's go. Edit, preferences, let's change the color. I'm feeling kind of light blue today. Okay, cool. Now we're light blue. So that's a setting. That's like the most basic of settings. Eventually we'll also have background images, maybe even background, like the image will change on the hour, slideshows, a whole bunch of things coming up. Actually, just while this is up, there's actually a bug that I found in the .NET framework while I was writing this. These used to be labels, these 2 things. Now they're buttons. The reason I changed it is because the bug actually is if you double-click any label that was made using the .NET framework, it actually copies the text from that label. This is actually a known bug that Microsoft knows about and doesn't fix. It's been around so long that they think that some programs actually use it on purpose. But I thought it was the most annoying thing because and it was hard to debug because I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna copy text here. I paste it in Notepad, it works. I open it up, I paste it in the dash, it works, and I close the dash, and now I have 4:29 p.m. I don't even know. I didn't even know where to start. So anyway, so now that little bug, that was actually the first bug fix I did for this semester. Anyway, let's get to the actual important things. So anyway, so we can have a sticky. So here's a red sticky, or whatever color it looks like on the picture. Okay, it's red. That's nice. So it's a nice.
It's black.
No, it's not.
That's pretty black.
It's red on this screen. I can prove it by turning it around.
Oh, that is red. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm not going to be blamed for these projectors.
Oh, it's a hardware issue. Plug your VGA. GB only.
At this point, I think it's safe to say that everyone in this room is colorblind, so it doesn't really matter. But, so I add text like, hello, I don't know.
Are you typing in red? Yes, you're typing in blue. Type in white. Black font on red. Get white.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have white on black, hello. Default, you can also set your default font if you're a fan of Comic Sans, like I know everyone here is, you can make Comic Sans. So if you close the dash, boom, it's gone. You open the dash, fades back in, there's your sticky still. It closes for any reason whatsoever, sticky will still be there, it's all saved, it's safe. So besides that, another interesting thing that I've kind of added besides the stickies, something called something called cPic. Now cPic is actually just a picture viewer because I always like having like little pictures that I like. Like this is a nice little Metro card picture. So like, this is true. I enjoy having little pictures. I also have a picture of my guinea pigs that I would have in, and so whenever I go to it, I see some things that bring me a little bit closer to where I'm from, as opposed to the cold weather. So it's lovely. So the cPic also supports various customizations. This is currently none. You can have it stretch the image, you can have it tile the image, you can have it center, you can do nothing with it. And you can resize it to anything you want, it'll do it. And then you close it, reopen it, it's there. Every single time, no matter what. Unless your projector doesn't work, in which case I don't care.
I have a question.
Sure.
Can you change the speed at which it fades in?
Yes, actually, that is something else I've done.
Look at this.
I know. So edit preferences, fade time. You can set the time in milliseconds. What would you like to make it, sir?
0.
0. I don't want any fade.
What about -1?
Oh, thank you. That's what I want.
And with that actually in mind, you see how there's some like transparency to it?
Yeah.
You can also set that. So let's say I don't want you to be able to see anything behind it. So let's set it to 100. Now it's fully opaque. Okay. So you can set that any way you want. I always like to add customization to it because I think the little things really make these programs just a little bit better in the end. So anyway, you can also set your favorite sticky color, favorite sticky font. You can have a keyboard shortcut for opening a new sticky. You can have a keyboard shortcut for closing your current sticky. A big feature that I want to work on, I want to add more applications to this. It's actually, the way it's written right now, it's very extendable. Any project that you have in C# can basically be turned into what I like to call a C form and put on this dash. Right now, it's pretty easy. All you have to do is like drag it in and type like a line of code and you're done. But yes.
Does it have any autocomplete or dictionary type features?
There's no dictionary. That one I can answer to easily because when I was writing it, I noticed that I do a lot of shorthand writing, and I used to actually, my little like changelog that I had was like this Word document, and I kept like writing things, I kept underlining it, and it pissed me off, so I didn't do it. It could be a future feature though. It wouldn't be that hard to add just a list of words and underline it if it's not in that list. Besides that, that's really cDash. That's as is now. A big thing I want to do also, weather application, check like weather, so when you pull it up, it shows you a forecast of what's going on. I also want to make it so you can have stopwatches, timers, and then eventually in the very long range, I'd like to make it so you can detach any of these forms and use them as regular Windows forms. So you can also have like one of them, the most important one, like on your desktop like you used to, and then also have it appear in the dash, things like that.
So this isn't implemented as a separate Windows desktop that you just switch to. It's actually
This
rewrote like all the window code.
This is a form. It's literally just a window form. It's a Windows form that's completely nowhere until you use a keyboard shortcut. Or you use Google Glass, or you
Okay, so like you actually made those look like Windows on purpose.
No. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. No, the windows are just child forms of this form.
Okay.
That's the parent. It's the easiest way to do it, to make it so you can also move them around, resize, because it's really difficult to write your own from scratch, that, especially the resizing, like drag at the corner, that's a hard thing to implement. Microsoft has done it relatively well at this point. So,
Have you looked into using WPF at all?
Windows presentation forms?
Yeah.
I have a little bit, but for now I'm just sticking with standard Windows Forms application. It's just what I know and what I'm used to.
And it's easy.
I just like it. It's what I know. Yeah. I started with Visual Basic. Don't hate on Visual Basic. I hate it. It's good stuff.
Visual Basic.
Don't hate. It compiles to the same code. Okay. Any other questions? Yeah.
So could you demonstrate like the bridge text things, like underlining, for example?
Well, the way, when I was explaining that, the way that actually works is it can be sent in. There's not currently an interface.
Oh,
it's written behind the scenes. It's not written for you to be able to do that with current text. Like I can go in Microsoft Word, write something, copy and paste it. It's just not implemented in terms of you doing it yet. Like it can display it, but it doesn't actually let you do that yet. It's on my roadmap. Anything else? Hey! What's up?
Okay, one really sweet idea that I think would, for me, make want to use this over the normal notepad or whatever the notes stickies is. Imagine, usually with sticky notes it's like all or none, right? What if you had like a grouping mechanism where you could have like certain keys, like instead of like keying up the dashboard, you could be like, I have like RPI notes, or I have like, you know, RCOS or my business notes. Like I can group tabs like.
There's actually there is some code for that, for something similar to that. The way it would eventually work is that you would have a different keyboard shortcut for the dash, and set a different one for, you know, let's say personal notes and personal whatever. The difference would be probably the way it's written now. The things that are tagged as personal, the ones that should appear, will have a certain value, and the other ones will just be minimized. Like that. That's the way it'll more than likely happen the first time. It's something I'm looking into because it does sound pretty cool. Yeah.
So I guess how much of the code depends specifically on Windows calls? Like how hard would it, or how big of a change would it be to retarget it to like the X Windows system or something like that?
I have absolutely no idea. Windows is my prerogative. It's also used by 90% of the world, so it's not something I'm looking into. Sorry. But it's open source. You're welcome to.
Actually, yeah, related to that, Mono has like Windows.forms bindings for like, I think it converts it to GTK and Cocoa on OS X.
Okay, so
it's not perfect.
To recompile?
Yeah, you should be able to do it without recompiling, but it might not. It'll look different.
I mean, it'll look different. I don't know how it would handle the child forms, especially.
Yeah,
because that is Windows specific.
Or like anything actually.
Well,
but yeah, it exists. It kind of works.
Yeah, I have looked at the Mono framework. It does cross compile with a lot of code. It might not work with child forms specifically, just because that does rely on Windows API type things. But it's something. Anything else? Can I sit down?